I was looking in database for something that I can use against e4. Like after e4, I usually play e5. Then I have to deal with the knight f3, knight c6, and all sort of bishop c4, bishop b5, maybe c3 Ponziani. If not, I could also face f4, the king's gambit, which actually offers very good attack for the white. It gives a 54% win rate. Like these are very problematic for me. But in this whole scenario, I found a very pure move, a very practical move, very logical move. And here it is. I think it's like 4% people play this. 4%. It's d6. After d6, my opponent usually went with like what? It's basically d4, what they play. And now we have all the way down to knight d7. It's basically 5 million people plays knight d7. Now what can they play? It's actually what I'm gonna teach you. This is called the rat defense, and you will literally like it. I have tried this opening or tried the defense in one of my games. Let me show you that game first, then we will talk about how to deal, like how to use this opening. Your opponent will definitely be scared after you play this, because your opponent can't do anything. There is no kind of bishop c4 attacks or anything. You just focus on the practicality of chess. There is no theories involved, just practical and logic things. You will actually love it. Okay, this is Shubham Kumar, your host, and we are going to understand what is the rat defense. But first, let me tell you how I used it. So this is the first game, not the first game, I guess. This is the fourth game of today, because I played 4 games today, 2 with the white, 2 with the black. So this is the last game I played today, and this is actually on the Harvard's defense. I will tell you what is it in my later phase of video. Moreover, it's like literally a hippopotamus defense, which we'll cover in the next video. This is the game about which I was telling you. My opponent played e4. It's called the standard king's pawn opening. You can see d6, and then we have the setup of a rat defense. My opponent usually played knight c3. It's called the 3-knight game, not 3-knight, it's a 2-knight game basically. My knight is at d7. I just played normal chess. He just attack in the center. I don't care. I played this. I can fianchetto get on my bishop, takes. There is no queen trade because of my knight. He went for bishop c4 attacking there. I simply went pawn to h6, teach you all the things. Don't worry in the later this video. Castles, we have knight development. Now there's no move. They can also go, I don't care. Like a fianchetto on my bishop, takes, and then we have queen captures the knight. Knight moves back. I don't know why. Maybe he was trying to play f4, which is actually one of the main key moves, but it occurs in the 3rd or 4th move in the opening phase. But he is now playing this. It's actually a passive move as well, because it breaks the harmony between the rook and the queen, and that is the thing I will tell you how to exploit it. So we have pawn to b6, fianchetto my second bishop. He played f4. I didn't care about it. Castle takes, and then queen captures the pawn. Bishop attacks the queen, and that is a mistake, and that's when the game actually ended quite well, because he missed queen c5 check on this king and attacking the bishop. It's actually double attack, so I just went this, and then this will happen. Now remember, I was telling you, going knight back to this e1 simply breaks the harmony between the queen and the rook. That's the basically thing how I won, because my opponent actually tried to attack the queen, but he missed. Queen captures the rook, and that is actually a 1754 rated match. I am 1647. Maybe it's on the leeches, so you may find it amusing, but it's nothing. I'm just telling you how red defense actually worked for me. Okay guys, now let's understand what is a red defense. So your opponent plays e4 standard king's pawn opening, and against e4 I told you not to play e5 but play d6. It's called the prick defense, just for now. We have d4, and now we play knight d7. That's the key move, and now it has become the red defense. Knight d7 is just to control these dark squares, of which we will go for fianchetto if we want, and also we will make sure the queens are not being traded right at the start of the match after they play e5. So we take, and then there is no queen trade. So that's actually the main important thing. Moreover, knight d7 actually gives you an opportunity to play c5 right at a moment. Moreover, knight b6 will threaten bishop c4 attack. So there is no Italian system. There are no b5 bishop Ruy Lopez, because ultimately we will play c6 to attack the bishop as well. And that being said, there are no aggressive attacks left. So your opponent can't play traditional attacking patterns, and that is where you will win the game, because maybe they will do some of the mistake. So in this condition, the most played moves are knight f3 or knight c3 or f4. These are 3 moves. Let's first understand what is the motive of f4. From the f4, they want to attack on the e5, because there are multiple things going on around. So therefore they want to play f4 to attack here, and in this condition you can directly play e5. If they capture, then you don't have to take it back. You can directly play queen to this h4, check on this king. They will defend it with a pawn, and then you capture the central pawn with a check. Queen defense, you capture the rook. But wait a minute, there are still hopes left for the white, because even after losing a rook, the engineering is minus 0.7. Like, what's the point of this? So we have pawn captures pawn, actually launching a direct attack on the king. It's like a discover attack, and the pawn is hanging as well. So many people try to actually go king da to defend the pawn. So here comes pawn captures pawn, king captures pawn, and like knight to this f3. Why not f3? Because now the queen is trapped. The queen can't go anywhere. All the place actually covered. I'm just showing you how worse this position can be, because after a6, your natural looking move, it's not a natural, it's just a random move. It's not natural, sorry, it's a random move. I'm just showing you what worse can happen. We have bishop check, king moves away, and here comes knight to c3. White is simply developing each and every piece. Meanwhile, all the pieces are actually entangled, and you haven't developed anything beyond the 6th rank except your queen, which is actually about to get trapped. And this is very insane move for the white, and the engine rating suggests plus 4.1 despite losing a rook. Therefore, it's very important to play bishop e7, not king d8. That would simply lead to pawn captures the bishop. But guess what? This pawn is actually a protection for our king, so you don't have to worry about it. Queen captures the knight. It's actually a good move. Now this pawn is hanging as well. So let's say bishop e3, attacking on the queen, hitting on this pawn. But you can simply play queen to this h1. Now you can simply retreat your queen back here. So that's a good thing for you. If white can't trade in the center, then they can still develop their knight. Then you will develop your knight as well. If they capture in the center with the f pawn, simply capture it. They capture, your knight is under attack, but don't worry, simply capture the pawn at e4 because that was hanging. So guess what? In this condition, if your opponent try to play bishop d3 hitting on the knight, then what to do? It's simply knight c5, a very logical chess. Why? You need to develop this knight, right? So playing f5 will simply open up this king's back door. Therefore, simply play knight c5. With this, you will defend your knight. Moreover, since bishop has come d3, there is no chance of queen trades at the early phases, so it's perfectly great here. Moreover, you are attacking this bishop as well, so the moment bishop gets traded away, there is no need for this knight protection, right? So that's actually fine for you. If they go for a castle, then simply play bishop e7, a development. Then they play bishop to this e3 hitting on your knight. Don't worry, if captured, you will retreat your knight back and everything is fine. So what to do? Simply you can go for a castle, and that's actually a good thing for you. So now you can simply continue this thing in the middle game. And guys, as I told you in the beginning, there are no threats of Italian game or the attack on the f7 pawn or anything like this. You have successfully castled and reached in the middle game. Now you just have to play logically from this point of time. Just play normal chess. If they capture it with a d pawn, it will not change anything. Just capture it. They will capture. You will capture the e4 pawn. So you got a full free pawn here. In previous situation, we discussed bishop d3, right? So let's discuss bishop c4 this time to attack on the weak f7 square. Kind of an Italian system. In this condition, simply play queen e7 defending this pawn. Let's say if they play queen to d5 hitting on the knight as well, and also pressurizing this weak pawn, then you don't need to worry about it. Simply play f5 defending this pawn. If white goes en passant, you have knight f6. One of the advantages of placing your knight at d7. So that's why they won't go for en passant. Instead, they can simply attack your knight, and then you will play knight to b6 to attack the queen and the bishop. Queen moves away, you will capture the bishop. Queen captures, and then we have queen to c5, just offering a trade. The moment we have queens traded off, these two pawns are actually fine because you are defending your own pawn as well. Bishop is defending the knight, so simply develop your bishop, go for a castle. You have an semi-open rook file. You can also go for a fianchetto, but that will simply drop the defense of this pawn. Therefore, simply play bishop e6. That's fine, and you have successfully reached in the middle game phase. So that's good for you. What if white don't take it with the f pawn or d pawn? Instead, white simply develop his knight. Then what can do? Simply capture the pawn at e4. Queen captures, and now it's very important to play c6 because by c6 you are preparing to launch b5 attack. Why b5? Because you are stopping bishop c4 ideas. So that's actually fine for you. Moreover, queen will, like after this move, and this move, queen will not able to jump at d5 because of c6 pawn. So there won't be a battery kind of thing at the f7. So that's actually a good thing for you. That's fine. Now let's say they try to attack your knight with the e5. There is no need to worry about, simply captures. Now we have f captures, and here in this condition don't need to take out this knight. Simply play bishop c5 hitting on the queen, defended by the knight. One of the advantages of placing knight d7. Queen moves away, and then you play queen e7 pinning this pawn to the king. So that's good. Let's say they defend this pawn because that was hanging, and here comes a very great move. It's bishop b4, pinning this knight to the king so that these important squares can be simply become vacant, and we can place our knight to either e4 or either d5. It's actually up to us. Now let's say they attack our bishop, we'll capture it, they capture, and then we have knight to e4 hitting on this pawn, and since there is a blockade between our knight and queen with the bishop, so it's actually fine. Let's say queen captures queen, king captures queen. Since the queens have been traded, it's very important to make your king as much as active, and being in the center, king is actually very active. So bishop moves away, defending this pawn. You don't need to worry about, simply take the bishop. So king captures, and then we have rook to this d8, preparing for a discover kind of attack here. So let's say king moves away, and then we have rook e8 to attack on this pawn. Bishop just going for a development, king moves away. Now this pawn is actually hanging, so king defended it, and then we have knight to this b6 hitting on the bishop. Bishop moves away, then what can you do? You can simply play c5 and then simply push this bishop backwards. If they ever play c4, that would simply mean bishop to e6, because now we are attacking this pawn twice and your opponent can't do anything. Like I am telling you guys, even if there is no piece advantage you have, even if the pieces are actually very equal, but still, believe me, you are very fine here. The engineering is minus 1.1 because the king is roaming around in center. Meanwhile, we have the defense of all the three connected pawns. We have the three connected pawns at the queen side as well, and there are two double pawns, and there is one isolated. So our attack is very rich. Our opponent cannot hold for long, and he will definitely go for some kind of mistakes. You are actually fine here. Okay guys, let's come back to starting position where we discussed f4. Let's see what will happen if your opponent plays knight f3. The moment we have knight f3, you could simply play e5. Why e5? Just after captures, there is no queen trade here. So after, even if like knight captures knight, you have options like bishop d6 attacking this knight twice, so that's fine for you. Let's say they capture, you will recapture. We have bishop c4 hitting on this weak f7 square. You play bishop check on the king. It's actually a forcing move, because the moment we have bishop to b4, it's a check on this king. They have to move the king as well. Meanwhile, it will give us a chance to develop the knight and then quickly go for castle as soon as possible, so that there is no vulnerability left in the f7 square. Now let's say if they defend it with the bishop, it's very important to play queen e7, because this time you will defend your bishop and then you will develop your queen as well, keeping one option open for a queen side or king side development. So that's fine for you. If they were captured, that's a mistake, because we'll recapture with the attack on the bishop, so that's good thing for you, and therefore they will definitely defend with the c3. Now going back with the bishop is not a good move, because you have to maintain the bishop in this diagonal, and it's very important. Therefore simply play bishop c5. If they ever try to attack your bishop, don't go back. I told you guys, don't go back. It's a very passive move, because after going back, it will simply attract the a4, and then all the pawns will simply move forward. You won't be able to castle the queen side, because all the pawns have covered way more distance. So therefore it's better to play bishop d6, defending this pawn as well. We are defending, but it's fine. Let's say queen b3, just preparing a battery. Don't worry, queen e7 simply defends it. Let's say if they attack it thrice with the knight, he will simply go with knight h6, defend this pawn. And let me tell you guys, rat defense lives up to his name. You are defending each and every attack white throws at you, and guess what, white can't do anything. It's like all the attacks have been done, like for sure. You are actually very good, you are very safe here. Let's say knight goes away, so that bishop can simply attack the knight. You don't have to go for castle, because the moment you went for castle, bishop captures, pawn captures, will need to expose your king. Therefore play knight g4. Why knight g4? I'll tell you in a moment. Let's say we have s3, simply play knight to this f6. Guess what, the knight has been rerouted back to the the original square. Not original is g8, but the more convenient square. We have f6, the more convenient square. If they play bishop g5, simply play h6, hitting on the bishop. Bishop moves away, maintaining the pin. Play g5, hitting on the bishop. Bishop moves away, and now guys, this pawn is hanging. Do you noticed? Right, basically knight captures on e4, and you will be simply winning, because you want a full free pawn here. You don't have to go for a castle. You can simply place your king in a center, or you can even trade the queens, or you can even go for the queen side castle as well by going bishop and ghetto. So you have actually very good position here. Moreover, there are no attacks incoming at the h7 square. You are defending this pawn. Each and every piece is very what can I say, very active. It's very good position for to play. Let's say they don't play bishop g5, instead they simply develop their knight. Then what? If there is no bishop, simply go for castle, you are fine. They also go for castle, and then you play a5, hitting on the pawn. Let's say they play bishop to e3, defending this pawn as well. Then what to do? Simply just play knight to b6, hitting on the bishop. Once this bishop has been traded with the knight, there is no threat, like no upcoming threat at the f7 square. You can gladly play f5, open up the file for the rook, and you are fine here. Let's say they capture the pawn, you will capture the bishop. Should we? Yes, we can capture the bishop. Knight captures, bishop captures, knight captures back, and this pawn is not hanging, but we will make it by playing queen c5, hitting on this pawn. This pawn is now hanging. Moreover, e4 pawn is hanging as well. Therefore, let's say they develop something like they develop the rook, you will capture the pawn, hitting on the knight twice. Knight moves away, defended himself, but then you capture this pawn as well. Moreover, we have bishop e5 incoming as well. Let's say they attack our knight, you can simply defend it by the f5 pawn, but since it's pinned by the queen, so you have to play bishop e6, hitting on the queen first. Queen captures, and then you simply play f4. So guess what, you are actually fine here. I am not able to understand how white is gonna react in this condition. Basically, the engineering is showing -2.2, which shows black has an upper edge. Why black has an upper edge? Because this pawn is hanging as well. We have a very active rook here. Meanwhile, the knight is very active, the bishop is very active, this pawn is hanging as well. We can attack two pawns simultaneously, and the moment we have queen captures on c3, this knight will be under very pressure. You can simply support it by the rook to this a2 as well. So like you can understand, it's very good move to play. And by any chance, if you didn't notice anything, we have bishop c4 as well, attacking this rook, and the rook has been trapped now. So that's actually fine for us. Let's say they play anything, we'll simply just play this. Oh guys, let's come back to starting position where we discussed f4. This is the f4 and knight to this f3. Let's say what will happen if your opponent plays knight c3, one of the most played move. Then simply play e5, that's the main move here. Knight f3 comes, we have bishop e7 development, bishop c4, knight f6. That's actually fine. They go for castle. We can also go for a castle. It's actually good for us just to secure our king. They play a4. If they play a4, because a4 is not the most played move here, I guess it's rook e1. So let's say just go rook e1. The moment we have rook e1, you can simply play h6, so just to stop all the bishop pinning attacks here. But it doesn't really matter because we have a defense here. But still, it's fine. h6 is good to prevent any back rank sort of checkmates. So that's fine. They play a4, not the a4, not this is actually the h3. They play a4 because that is the most played move here. The moment we have a4, you can simply play a5, just stopping all of the attacks. Now let's say they play s3, you are fine. You play c6. I told you guys, c6 is one of the key moves because you have to support your b5 attack and push this bishop away, so that later on you can play f5 move and open up the rook file. So that's fine. We have bishop development. We play rook to this e8. Why rook e8? Because we want to play knight to f8 and then read out our knight to all like king side, and to attack launch a full-fledged attack. Let's say they anticipated our b5 attack, so they can play bishop going back. And now it's very important for you guys to play queen c7. If you directly play knight to this f8, that is actually positional error. That's because knight at d7 was defending the e5 pawn. The moment knight moves away, we have pawn captures, knight captures. Knight will give a very good square. Meanwhile, it will be defended by the f4 as well. It's called centralization of a knight. A key idea of centralization of a knight to control all of these important squares. Meanwhile, it will also support the bishop's fork here on the king and on the rook. So that's not good for us. Therefore, it's very important for you guys to first play queen c7 to support this long diagonal, and then move your knight to f8. Okay, let's say they have developed the bishop, develop the queen, sorry, maybe they are trying to sacrifice something and then potentially place their queen to h6 and then launch all sort of attacks. Don't worry, simply just place the knight to f8 to control all of these diagonals. Let's say they develop their rook. We have rook to d8 to place the open rook opposite to the queen. So the moment we have capture, this will be done for sure. Therefore queen moves away. Now we have knight g6 controlling all sort of king side squares. Then we have bishop c4 just launching an attack on the f7 square. We actually don't care about it. Like you may think like, okay, the f7 is hanging, shall I defend it or not? I will tell you, don't defend it, guys. Instead, the moment we have queen captures on f7, you can simply get a rook f8 and then we have an open rook file. So I believe this is actually good thing. Therefore simply play bishop e6 first, hitting on the queen, so they will simply just block it with the pawn. You retreat your bishop back to the c8, they will capture the pawn, you will capture the pawn. Queen captures, king moves away. Now they are thinking like, okay, they have very good position here because queen has infiltrated our castle. But guess what, this queen is going to be trapped soon. I will tell you how. So let's say queen goes away, because that would lead to a disaster if queen still queen was still at the f7. So we have bishop a6 first, hitting on the queen. Queen comes back because that was a safe square for now. Now we have rook f8 controlling the f7 square. If they try to simply double up their rook file, rook b8 hitting on the b2 pawn, bishop defends it. And now we have a very spectacular move. It's basically rook b4 controlling the c4 square. I'll tell you why it's very important. Let's say they complete their plan of going for this kind of a double rook file. We have bishop c8 completely trapping this queen. This queen is has nowhere to go because all the squares are actually covered. The last escape route was c4, which was covered by our rook, and rest is actually in front of you guys. It's done for sure. The queen has been trapped. So guys, that was the red defense. I hope you have liked it. I hope you have understood how insane this defense was, and how like after e4 white was thinking of all sorts of attack on the f7 square or bishop c4 system, bishop b5 Ruy Lopez. Nothing will work against this opening. This is so much great because bishop b5 will counter instantly by c6, which is one of the key moves. You can simply go for castle without having so much of headache and without having so much of problems at your f7 square. You are actually fine here. This is actually very good opening for the blitz and bullet games, and I hope you have liked it. So that's all for today. I hope you will subscribe the channel, and we will meet you in the next video. Till then, take care.